So in order to make sure that all of our students are successful in identifying and adding in dialogue, there are a couple of scaffolds that we can use to make sure that all students are able to do this. And so one scaffold that I really like is to have anchor charts up around the room. And the first anchor chart I would really post is my example of dialogue that I added into an existing text. So if I used the first teacher model or if I was the LearnZillion instructor, I would post my actual example of text that I revised with my action circled and my dialogue boxed in. And the second chart I would make sure to post is a dialogue chart of how to actually punctuate dialogue correctly. And this chart was actually, I found this from a teacher on Pinterest, and I love because it shows the different ways that you can correctly write and punctuate dialogue. And so these are just a visual reminder for students of how to correctly use dialogue in their writing. The second thing that I would do is for students who are having a hard time inserting dialogue or using dialogue, I would use comics or cartoons. And the great thing about comics or cartoons is that you can draw talk bubbles and then help students translate the talk bubbles into actual written dialogue. Another thing you can do is to use recording devices, either a tablet or an iPad, to have students record conversations. And students can record conversations in English, or for limited English proficiency students, they can even record conversations in their first language, listen to those conversations, and then add in dialogue through listening. So listening to what real people said, and then using that dialogue in their writing. You also can have students experiment and practice having characters say different things, record their voices, and then translate that into their writing. Now, one thing you can do to push students even further is to show sentence variety and how they can use dialogue in different ways in their writing. And so this was a great strategy that I read about. And what you need to do is grab a piece of text that is pretty complicated and has a lot of sentence variation, and then actually translate that text into squiggly lines to take away the words, but to show students a visual representation that you can start using dialogue, then put a tag, that you can use sentences to describe a scene, that you can use dialogue without a tag. Again, that you can start dialogue, have a tag, have the dialogue continue, or use dialogue while someone is doing something else. And this can help show students to add variety into their own writing. And so our goal today was really to be able to add dialogue into writing because we know that it adds interest, creates voice, and develops our characters. And by using the SCAMPER model, we can all be successful in having our students use dialogue effectively. So just to review, we want to make sure that as we start the SCAMPER model, we are seeing how students are currently using dialogue and talking to them about how they're using dialogue and why. We want to make sure that we collect our good materials so that we can model strong mini lessons, and then have students practice in groups, and then use dialogue in their own writings and reflect on how effective it was.